Hi there, welcome back to Julie.V doing it with me. I know I haven't been active on here in ages, but before we do anything regarding today's video, happy 2022! I have to say thank you to my 295 subscribers, old and new, for helping me grow this channel. And the 27,000 people who watched the part 1 to this video. It has honestly surpassed any expectations I had for this video, and I am overjoyed with how far it has come. I would like to say beforehand that some of my opinions on the topics of that video have changed, just thanks to me being able to get around more and experience more of London and Britain, and some of my lovely viewers bringing up some new things to my attention, so thank you guys. I have to apologise for the massively long introduction, but let's get into part 2 of UK culture shock as a South African living in London. I'm going to start with some of the most awkward miscommunications I have had just because of clothing. Although South Africa was once regarded as a British colony in the 1960s, I find South African English has more similarities to American English than British English. The amount of times I have stressed out my friends by referring to how I love their pants is too many to count. So basically, South African pants is actually trousers in England, and pants in England is underwear in South Africa. Then stockings are the Christmas stockings and are actually called tights, and tights are actually leggings, and tracksuit pants are joggers. Stay with me. Something purely South African is tackies. Even if you look up the word without putting shoes on the end of it, you'd get a completely different meaning. Basically, they're just trainers, or more Americanized, sneakers. Whilst we're on the topic of shoes, let's talk about slops. Derived from slip-slops, you'd think their resemblance to flip-flops would be uncanny. But if you were to say slops instead of flops or flip-flops, you'd probably confuse someone for a matter of seconds. Lastly, jumper. I find jumper is such a British word, if there even could be a British word. But I find it really weird when people are talking about their jumpers instead of jerseys. I've decided to mention a few vocabulary differences, just because it's useful if you're looking to come from South Africa to England, and more specifically, London. For example, my friend's dad, who comes from up north, says tongue instead of tongue. So, starting with a list of random foods, crunchies are known as flapjacks, flapjacks as pancakes, pancakes as crepes, pita bread as pita bread, brinjal as aubergine, and tomato sauce as ketchup. Then there's other things like press stick, which makes sense because you press it and it sticks. But here is known as blue sack, which interestingly originally was white, but was then dyed blue because of fears of children mistaking it for gum. They're both Bostik products, so I find it weird how there's different versions for each country. Then, this is something I mentioned in my part 1 to this video, Civvies Day, because you get to wear your civilian clothes. That's hence the civvies. But in England, it's called Mufti Day, which actually originates from the Arabic word mufti, meaning scholar. Then we have varsity, which is known as uni, and soccer as football. Now, the South African braai, which is known to the British as a barbecue. Barbecues are actually very different to traditional braais. If you want pup, they don't sell mini meal here. So you're just going to have to buy it from a South African shop that imports it. On to the third subtopic of this video. We're going to be talking about cars. Two, actually. We're going to be talking about buckies and taxis. I think it's impossible to drive around South Africa and not see a South African minibus taxi or buckie. Obviously, you don't see them here, and on the very rare chance you do see a buckie, it will probably be a South African driving it. I've concluded that they're probably impractical for the weather here, which is why you see so many vans in this place. The taxis you do get here will mainly be in central London, and they will be the sort of famous black cabs. Thinking more on the habits of the general public, escalators are an interesting one. So here in London, and probably most parts of England, it is custom to stand on the right-hand side of the escalator so that people in a hurry can walk/run past on the left-hand side. The next thing I'm going to mention is tea. We all know the stereotype of British people and tea, but what you might not know is that the word means something completely different here. Tea can be used to describe an early dinner. So this one time we invited friends over for tea, and they ended up being really surprised that we meant actual afternoon tea and not a full-blown meal. Okay, I've only got two more for you, so hang in there. We South Africans are no strangers to public schools and private schools. So simple, right? And if you didn't say public school, you'd probably say government school. But the UK managed to make it complicated. Here, public schools and private schools mean the same thing. They both refer to schools that run independently of the government, so independent schools. If you wanted to talk about public schools, you'd have to say state schools. Otherwise, you'd be having two separate conversations at the same time. Lastly, South Africans are privileged shoppers. Whether you go to a Woolworths, Checkers, Spar or Clicks, there's always somebody to pack your bags whilst the cashier scans your items. Shopping here in England is very different. Firstly, we have this wonderful machine that makes you both the cashier and packer, and has a lovely camera for you to watch yourself handle your shopping. And if you do end up going to an actual till though, get used to the stress of packing your groceries into any random bag as the cashier and the rest of the queue stare at you for taking too long. And a last little tidbit, any South African used to the guys at the garage, aka petrol station, washing your windscreen, changing your tires, checking your tires, filling up the petrol tank, enjoy it whilst it lasts, because that doesn't happen here. Once again, this is Julie.V doing it with me. If you're new here, well, we welcome you to the Doing It With Me family. Go ahead and click that subscribe button so that you can become an official member. And also, don't forget to turn on bell notifications so that you know when I post a new video. I hope part 2 was just as enjoyable as part 1. And as always, I love to hear your thoughts, so leave them down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Bye!